Telegram is stuck on connecting hotel Wi-Fi, office network, a campus, or a whole country that filters it. You don't know if it's your phone, the Wi-Fi, or something upstream, so you try random fixes and nothing sticks. The right way to solve this is in order. Isolate where the block actually is, then apply the one fix that matches. This video is that order troubleshooting ladder. I manage Telegram hosting and proxy infrastructure on dedicated hardware in Singapore. So getting Telegram through hostile networks is daily work. The mistake almost everyone makes is reaching for a proxy first. Sometimes a proxy is the answer, but if the real problem is a captive portal or a DNS block, a proxy won't help and you waste an hour. So we diagnose first, then fix. Step 1. Is it you or the network? Before anything else, take your phone off the Wi-Fi and onto cellular data. If Telegram connects fine on cellular, the Wi-Fi network is the problem, not your account or your app. If it fails on both Wi-Fi and cellular, the block is wider, likely your whole region, and you need a proxy that exists outside it. This one test splits the entire problem in half and takes 10 seconds. Always start here, and if you have a friend on a different network, ask them to check Telegram too. If it's down for them on a totally separate connection, the block is regional, not yours. Step 2. Rule out the dumb stuff. Is the network even online? Open a normal website in a browser. If nothing loads, it's not a Telegram problem. The connection is just down, or you haven't passed the captive portal. That's the hotel and airport classic. The Wi-Fi makes you click through a login page first, and until you do, nothing works, Telegram included. Open a browser, complete the portal, then try Telegram again. People burn real time on this without realizing they never finished the login. Step 3. Figure out what kind of block it is, because there are 3 and they need different fixes. The 3 are a DNS block, a port block, and a deep packet inspection block. Here's how to tell them apart. A DNS block is the laziest kind. The network just refuses to resolve Telegram's server names. The fix is changing your DNS on the device or in Telegram's own behavior. Point at a public resolver instead of the network's. On a phone, you can set a private DNS to a public provider in your system settings. If Telegram springs to life after changing DNS, it was a DNS block, the simplest kind, beaten without a proxy at all. Even many a probands at all. The tell is that websites load fine, but Telegram won't, and changing DNS did nothing. The fix here is a proxy on a port the network does allow, and port 443, the HTTPS port, is almost always open because blocking it would break the whole web. An mtproto proxy on 443 slides through a port block neatly. A deep packet inspection block is the serious one, used by countries actively fighting Telegram. The network inspects the actual content of your traffic and recognizes Telegram's signature even on an allowed port, then blocks it. This is the one a plain proxy often can't beat because the inspection sees the proxy traffic too. The fix is mtproto with factors, which disguises your connection as ordinary HTTPS to a real domain. That disguise is built specifically to defeat deep packet inspection, and it's why mtproto is the tool for the hardest networks. How do you tell a port block from a deep packet inspection block, since both let websites load while Telegram fails? The quick test: try a plain proxy on port 443. If a basic proxy on 443 suddenly works, it was a port block. The network only cared about which port you used. If even a proxy on 443 gets blocked after a few seconds of working, the network is inspecting content. That's deep packet inspection, and you need the factors disguised specifically. So the proxy that fails tells you as much as the proxy that succeeds. Watch the timing too. A deep packet inspection block often lets you connect for a moment, then cuts you off once it has analyzed enough packets to be sure, which is a distinctive fingerprint of that kind of filtering. So that's the diagnosis ladder. Cellular test to isolate, browser and portal check to rule out the basics, DNS change for a DNS block, an HTTPS port proxy for a port block, and factors mtproto for a deep packet inspection block. Now let me give you the order to actually try the fixes, fastest and least disruptive first. First fix to try: change DNS to a public resolver. It's free, instant, and beats the most common lazy blocks. If that works, you're done. Second, add an mtproto proxy on port 443 with a modern factile secret. This beats both port blocks and most deep packet inspection. A private endpoint you trust is far better than a public one. Public proxies on these networks burn within hours because everyone piles onto them, and the network's classifier catches the pattern. If you don't have a private one, watch my video on standing up your own mtproto proxy on a VPS. It takes 15 minutes, and pick a proxy that exits outside the restricted region. A proxy inside the same country that's blocking Telegram is subject to the same upstream filtering and won't help. The exit location matters as much as the protocol. Third, if you specifically need your account to look like it's on a clean mobile IP, not just to get through, add a SOCKS5 proxy pointed at a real mobile proxy. Verify it first with a curl call to IP info through the proxy and confirm you see a real carrier name in the org field and the right country. That's the move when the goal is your apparent IP, not just connectivity. Fourth, try toggling IPv6. Some restrictive networks handle one address family differently from the other. Telegram's connection settings have a try IPv6 options. Flipping it occasionally finds a path the network forgot to block. Now confirm a fix actually worked, don't guess. On a phone, open Settings, Devices, Active Sessions, and check the IP shown for your current session. It should be the proxies, not the local networks. For a bot or APE work, a curl to the APE endpoint /getMe tells you if the APE is reachable at all. Proof beats hoping it connected. Now the edge cases that confuse people. First, throttle versus block. Sometimes Telegram isn't blocked, it's throttled, deliberately slowed so badly it feels broken. Messages eventually creep through, media times out. Throttling is a softer measure than a block, and a proxy on a clean path usually restores full speed because your traffic stops being recognized as Telegram to be slowed. If Telegram is painfully slow rather than fully dead, suspect throttling and reach for the Vector's proxy. Second, intermittent blocks. Some networks block Telegram only at certain times during events or peak hours, or they block it in waves as they update their filters. If Telegram works in the morning and dies at night with no change on your end, that's an adaptive block. And the answer is keeping a couple of proxies saved so you can switch when one gets caught. A single proxy isn't enough against a network that actively hunts them. Third, calls blocked separately from chat. Voice and video calls use different infrastructure than messaging, and some networks block calls while leaving chat alone, or the reverse. If your texts send but calls fail, that's a separate block. Turn on Use Proxy for calls in your proxy settings, so calls route through the same tunnel instead of trying a direct peer-to-peer connection. The network kills. Fourth, the proxy connects, but messages still won't send. A green light or a ping means you reached the proxy, not that the proxy is relaying to Telegram. For mtproto, a wrong secret format. For SOCKS5, wrong credentials or an unwhitelisted IP. Recheck the proxy itself, the network might be fine now. Fifth, captive portal that re-triggers. Some hotel and airport portals expire after a few hours and silently drop you, and Telegram dies again. If it worked, then stopped on the same Wi-Fi, reopen a browser, the portal probably wants you to log in again. Sixth, the network blocks the proxy port too. On the strictest networks, the obvious proxy ports get blocked along with everything else, and even 443 only carries the network's own approved web proxy. When that happens, your in-app options run out, and the realistic answer is connecting through something already outside the network, like your phone's cellular tethered to the device, or an account that lives on hardware elsewhere. It's worth knowing that some networks genuinely can't be beaten from inside with app settings alone, so you stop wasting time and change your approach. Seventh, clearing a stuck connection. Sometimes the network is fine, and Telegram itself is wedged on a stale connection state. Force quit the app fully, swipe it away, and reopen, or toggle airplane mode on and off to reset the radios. Do this before assuming a block, because a wedged client looks identical to a block from the outside, and the fix is 10 seconds instead of an hour of proxy hunting. A quick honest note, everything here gets your connection through a network that's fighting it. That's a connectivity problem, and a proxy solves it. What a proxy doesn't do is change your device or your account's behavior. So if your real issue is an account that keeps getting limited or flagged, that's a different problem, and no amount of proxy switching fixes it. Know which problem you actually have. If you're constantly fighting restrictive networks and you'd rather have an account that simply lives somewhere with a clean open path to Telegram, that's part of what we provide. Manage Telegram hosting and proxy infrastructure on dedicated hardware in Singapore, where the account runs on a real device with a real carrier IP and an open root, so you're not running this ladder every time you change locations. Start at telegramvault.org and use code TGYT. For a one-off hostile network though, work the ladder here and you'll get through. From Naifans Ipifin from Pierre. Soaks M5 Mobile, when you need a clean apparent IP, toggle IPv6 as a long shot, confirm with active sessions, or get me, and keep more than one proxy saved against networks that adapt. The meta lesson: don't shotgun fixes. Each block type has one matching fix, and trying a proxy against a captive portal or changing DNS against deep packet inspection just wastes time and convinces you nothing works. Spend the first 30 seconds diagnosing with the cellular test and the browser check, identify which of the 3 block types you're facing, and then apply the one fix that matches. People who stay calm and work the ladder in order get through networks that look hopeless to people who panic and flip every setting at once. If this helped you get unstuck, subscribe, because the next video sets up a Telegram channel and group through hosting the right way, including the admin and privacy settings people miss. Thanks for watching.